Xbox has been in the gaming news cycle nonstop since the Summer Games Showcase week. The announcement of the return of exclusives, the internal memo on how poorly the business is doing, talk of resetting the brand, and now layoffs and closing of studios are the hot topics. I was always an Xbox kid, from day one launch to today, so it pains me to see Xbox being at the weakest position it's ever been in. Xbox appears to be shifting strategy from a focus on a consistent stream of games through Game Pass and third-party publishing to a more focused model of larger and more well-known IPs producing exclusives. Asha Sharma's position of focusing more on core IPs like Halo, Gears, Fable, and Bethesda titles can do wonders for the brand, but the plan has to be executed in a well-thought-out and sustainable way. If Xbox can successfully support their large multiplayer IPs as the core of their new strategy, then they have a chance to turn their brand around and bring it back to a strong position in the gaming market. Here's how I think they can do it. When you think of some of the great multiplayer gaming memories, Xbox titles are likely included in those. Ranked Halo grinds, Gears of War execution matches decided by a 1v1 Nasher battle, shoddy snipes into the early hours of the morning, and horde modes that go the full 50 waves, alongside co-op campaigns with legendary all skulls on with your friends. But along the last decade or so, Xbox has lost its way with their strength, and that's quality multiplayer gaming. They started chasing trends with these titles, always playing from behind and being reactionary with their development, either through mismanagement or trying to shoehorn in newest multiplayer FPS modes. That's left a market where Gears, and more so Halo, are always trying to catch the newest hot multiplayer game rather than presenting itself as an equivalent option and an innovative push forward for their series. And we now find ourselves in a gaming market where the largest titles are the long-standing ones: Apex Legends, Overwatch, CS, Siege, and Valorant. The fulfilled Concord trilogy has left a void in the market for recent FPS releases that have failed, and players are asking for good new releases in the multiplayer and campaign space for shooter games. Xbox can capitalize on this and once again be the platform for multiplayer gaming. The first step of bringing their studios and brand into a more focused position appears to be happening with Asha Sharma's statements and layoffs of other studios that weren't in a profitable position. This obviously sucks for the industry at large, but we are seeing it industry-wide that if studios aren't producing financially successful games and making those games for an audience, they likely won't have long-term viability. With more cost controlled, Xbox can focus their budgets and support to the largest IPs, specifically Halo and Gears, on the multiplayer front. I'd love to see them provide Halo Studios and the Coalition with ongoing support to either produce a new and quality title every 3 to 4 years in the series that is free of rebooting projects, contractors muddying the waters of development cycles, and a clear vision of what each release should be, with campaigns, competitive multiplayer, social multiplayer, PvE modes, and post-launch support plans on day one of release. Or another alternative could be to produce a quality multiplayer platform that can be supported, updated, and innovated on in a live service model while allowing support for spin-offs in those franchises. We saw this attempt with Halo Infinite, but it had all the problems that we had just mentioned, from development cycles, contractors, rebooting, and not having a full content launch on day one. If Xbox is to explore that route, a game has to release with its full content suite and promises of what's to come without delays of 6 to 9 months in between seasons. Having these core multiplayer platforms would allow releasing spin-offs with both franchises in different genres to keep the IP's names relevant in the gaming space year after year and draw attention and interest from the players who aren't in that core multiplayer audience. Imagine a Halo or Gears horror survival game, a Halo hack and slash adventure game playing as the Arbiter, or expansion of campaign experiences in both universes. Potentially even explore FPS MMO light titles in the Halo universe, since there will be a large hole in that scene now that Destiny has ended. There's so much unexplored lore and directions both franchises can go with branching titles in different genres, while the mainline title serves as the central experience. If Xbox could find a way to do this, With controlled budgets, they could be successful and mitigate risk in having one release title being a home for everyone. Because like they say, a game made for everyone is a game made for no one. The second pillar of this strategy would be to continue to embrace the PC player base. The PC market continues to grow as console sales stagnate in recent years. Xbox should further improve their Xbox launcher while continuing to offer their titles on Steam with full crossplay. However, bringing a focus to balancing mouse and keyboard with controller should be a primary focus of these titles. We saw Halo Studios take steps toward this later in Halo Infinite's lifespan, but it was far too late. A multiplayer title available on both PC and console needs to have relatively good input balance on launch, since first impressions are everything. And the PC market isn't going to wait for the title to implement updates just to bring mouse and keyboard up to parity with controller before moving on to other options. And lastly, Xbox should move to implement free online multiplayer services for console. Xbox needs to bring down as many barriers as possible and offer something that its competition doesn't to attract more of an audience. Quality ongoing multiplayer titles made as accessible as possible can fill that void in the market, bring people back to communities and experiences that they can't get with the single-player over-the-shoulder games of the competition, and offer something truly unique on Xbox's platform. Throwing support behind Xbox's big multiplayer titles in some of these ways can revitalize the brand, but the games have to do what they have failed at over the last decade. They must be good, and they must meet the expectations of today. But Xbox is the brand that can offer what others can't. Quality online multiplayer where you can compete, relax with friends, form new communities, and forge memories that will one day turn into the nostalgic memories that we so pine for from the early 2000s.